You have seen both of these PCs before. This is my stepson's. This was my fiance's. She has retired this one and we have upgraded her. If you did not check out that upgrade, go ahead and do that. That's of the NZXT H9 Flow case paired with the motherboard of the ASRock Z790 live mixer motherboard. That case and just the way it looks looks really, really nice. Anyway, go ahead and check that out if you haven't. This video, since she's retiring this, we did upgrade my stepson just a little bit ago from a 6th generation, so he had a 6700K with a Z170 chipset motherboard. We upgraded him to a Gigabyte 9th gen CPU, but it was only a 9400 as far as the CPU goes. We're going to upgrade him again since it was a kind of an unexpected upgrade for my fiance. We're going to give him this. Now, he does know about it. The only thing we really got to transfer over, other than this thing's really, really dirty, so I got to get this thing cleaned up. We are going to wipe this. We're going to transfer his, I think just his graphics card and maybe his, not sure, the SSD maybe, the NVMe. But I'll figure that out in just a little bit. I haven't really thought about it too much. I'm just excited to do another video. So anyway, I got to get that stuff out of here, put it in here, maybe clean this up first. I don't know, maybe reorient some of this, maybe put the cooler up top instead of down here. I haven't really thought about it too much, to be honest. So anyway, if you want to stick around for this, and let's see what we come up with, stay right there. I was just taking a look at this. We're definitely not going to be reusing a power supply. It's just going to stay in this case for a while. The only other thing we're going to be using is the graphics card. I think that's the only thing that we're going to be taking out of this case, at least to reuse in this case. The Wi-Fi card that goes on the motherboard here, the PCIe Wi-Fi card, that is no longer needed because we do have Wi-Fi 6E, I believe, on this. Really, we just need the graphics card out of here. We can get this out of the way, and well, maybe potentially we might need the M.2 on here, the NVMe. This one does have it in here, so we're just going to wipe this one anyway, but he doesn't need like a Gen 4 NVMe. He's just gaming. He just doesn't need it, and quite frankly, I can use him for something else. So we'll go ahead and rip those two things out. We'll get this case cleaned up. I'll probably do it off camera because there's just a lot to clean up, and then we'll kind of take it from there. Just want to give you guys a little kind of overview of what the cable management looked like before. And I've taken a couple of screws off of the pump, so I realized that these really should be around here. So I think we're going to take this and put it up top if we can. It may not have enough room, and that's maybe why I did that. I'm not too sure, but we're going to take everything out. I got to really clean the fans really good, because they are caked on with a bunch of stuff. So it's gonna take me a lot of time. So I'm not gonna do that all on camera, unfortunately. It's not that I don't have the time, I don't have the patience. So anyways, we're gonna jump to a little far, unless I figure out something I wanna mention or something, we're gonna kind of jump around here. So just stay in your seat. Look at how dirty this fan is. That is disgusting. I blew it out before, but I've never really cleaned up the fans. So we're gonna have to take our time and do that. Motherboard. This is still a freaking awesome motherboard. This is a Z590 Strix E Gaming Wi-Fi. This is really a bad motherboard. And they still make the Strix. The Strix is one of the best motherboards you can get from Asus. Normally I take this outside, but I don't feel like going upstairs, and yeah, so we're just gonna take this. This is by Solar Eye. Awesome. I did a review on this. This is the best air duster. I have one more that's very competitive with this, but this one really rocks. Another awesome gift. This Fantic electric screwdriver. It is such a time saver and a wrist saver. I have a Hoto one. I just favor this one just slightly more, but the Hoto one is almost equivalent to this. All right, now I have all the fans are clean, and actually I just realized that these 3 fans are slightly different than the fans that are on the radiator. First of all, you can tell that the logo itself is actually larger, and we can tell that we have black wires on this, white wires on this, and then if you go around the back, the part numbers are different, and also the amperage is slightly off, where this is 0.3 amps, and this one's 0.225, I think. Nope, this one's 225 amps. So slightly different, but it's all good. I do still have to clean the thermal paste off of this, but we are going to get this installed. Let me go ahead and clean this thermal paste off of the CPU before I start touching it and then end up with it on me somewhere, and then I start getting it all over the case or other parts. All right, so now that the motherboard is in, what I want to do is actually get the EPS power to the motherboard, so that's the CPU power, before we put in the cooler, because I think the cooler will fit, but I will not be able to get to those power supply cables with the cooler in the way. We're going to need a graphics card, but this graphics card only requires one of these cables here, so I might as well remove the other one. I mean, it would be nice to keep them together for future, but this is a small enough case. So I'll store this back in its original box that I have over there. Since he is not going to be overclocking this, we are going to remove one of the CPU cables, and I will remove, it really actually doesn't matter which one. So let's just remove this one. So that's 2 cables that are going to be out of our way. Let's get our power connected here. This only has a 8+4 pin anyway. Can you imagine me trying to get up here, right here where it is, with the cooler in place? I don't think so. We have 2 fans we need to reinstall here, and trying to figure out the best way to do this. Just like this. So we want these fans to draw air in, or no, excuse me, we're going to be exhausting the air, not thinking. So we want the cables to go out the back like that. So that's the way it's going in. I'm just going to flip it over just like this, and we're going to mount these. All right, now we can install this cooler. We got to feed these wires up and through here. This is always the challenging part, to hold it and feed these through at the same time. Plus we need to make sure that we have RAM clearance. That's where the problem lies, guys. So I don't believe we can do this because of the RAM clearance. Either I'd have to have low profile RAM, which I don't believe that I have, or we got to go back to the front. Holy cow, I just put the RAM in there and the clearance is tight. There is some gap. So, okay. I don't know about putting this in and then getting the RAM in. I don't know if I could put the RAM in afterwards. So let me get a couple screws in here. I got one RAM slot in, or one RAM stick, but let me get a couple screws in this and see if this is possible. I mean, I guess it is possible. I just have to take the AIO out if I need to change the RAM. Oh, that's not really something I would want to do, but I guess how often do you really have problems? Let me grab the other RAM module. And can I get this in, oops, without having to take it out? Does not appear I can. But we can still do it. The question is, do I want to? Do I want that headache of if I need to remove the RAM? Now I could reseat the RAM, potentially, but I would not be able to actually remove it. If we had low profile RAM, this would work actually really nice. Probably about 2 to 3 millimeters of clearance. All right, we got our thermal paste here. We just got some MX4. Actually, I think I got some left in this one, so we're gonna use this one up. And then I always spread it by hand to cover the entire HIS. In case you're wondering, it's just my method. That's it. Just to make sure and guarantee that the entire plate is covered. Now time to put this back on. And then with these, you always take a screwdriver, a manual screwdriver, and torque these down. Don't use an automatic one. And you're just going a turn or two per corner. That. And then 1, 2. 1, 2. All the way until they bottom out. All right, so here's the other dilemma. So I have 3 spots for 3 fans, and I only have 3 fans, but I also need a rear one. I do believe I have 1 extra fan. Look at that, brand new, has not been used. It's identical, even got the white cable. How lucky are we? I suppose we'll put the brand new one in the rear, since it'll be the oddball and the new kid on the block. These front fans are going to be set as intake. All right, so I got all 3 fans in the front and the rear. Exhaust fan is installed. These are all set for intake. Obviously, the rear is for exhaust, and the AIO is for exhaust. So everything's going to come through the front and get exhaust through the back and out the top through the radiator, just the way we want it. It actually is looking pretty good, maybe even better than it was before. And what do you think? So far, not too shabby. So now I've got primarily a bunch of cable management and getting this thing powered up, but I am going to wipe the drive that's on here. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and take a peek and see what kind of drive we do have on it right now. Actually, I'm going to just use a regular screwdriver because I don't want to over torque anything. So he had a Samsung 980 Pro in here. Now this is a Gen 4 drive, but we're going to swap it out for a Samsung 970 Evo Plus because he just doesn't need the Gen 4 speeds. So we're just going to leave that one out. We're going to be adding a second one for his games. Now, some of his games are actually on this D drive, is what we had it set for. So I'm going to have to copy over this to here. That way we have matching SSDs in the system, and it's not going to be, you know, 2 different things. So I won't have a Samsung and a Western Digital. That way I can just have one software program in there for updating any of the firmware that's on there. So that's what we're going to do. Right now I'm going to basically go through and do a cable management, kind of a rough cable management, and get everything set. We'll do a power on test and make sure we can install Windows, and then I'll fully do all the cable management at the end. All right, so that was a little unfortunate. I did lose my audio in the last like 5 minutes. Basically what I did was turn this on, and everything worked We got into the BIOS. The BIOS does not need an update. I checked that just to see if there was any updates. But the only thing that is not working, which I thought it worked at first, but I'll have to look back at the video. But this bottom fan was not, ultimately, it's not spinning and no LED. So I highly doubt that both went bad at the same time. I'm thinking there could be a problem with this controller back here. But there's two ways we can test this. One, we're gonna reseat everything, turn it back on, see if that works. If not, I'm going to move it over to the next one in position, which we don't have any spares, but I wanna just move it over and see if we remove like the second one up, that one won't work, and we'll just see if something works by chance. So let's just try that. I'm gonna plug it back in. I do wanna inspect the cable. I don't believe I clipped anything, but I could have. Oh, look at this. There is a little... Oh, you know what? I think I nicked it. So I'll have to take a closer look at that. That doesn't explain why the RGB doesn't work, unless I cut that, because when I was cutting zip ties, it's very possible I could have damaged one of the wires. And in that case, I will have to order a new fan. So let me just reseat the RGB connection, and then we'll start this thing back up. And that bottom fan is working now. The RGB is not, though. You know, either way, this has got bare wire. I'm going to order a new fan. It's also possible that it's a communication issue because of the software not recognizing. Oh, look at that. The fan did stop spinning. Look at that. Oh, now, no, I thought it was spinning again. That's interesting. So maybe I did see it spin at first. But I don't know why it's not spinning now. I just want to unplug this, and maybe I can plug it into the motherboard just for a split second, just to see if it'll start spinning. I guess the easiest spot is right down here. All right, so it does work. I just don't know why the RGB is not working. Let's get Windows installed and AIO software installed and see if we can solve any of those problems. I doubt it. Like I said, I'm probably going to order a fan anyway. Well, now that I have AIO software installed, that bottom fan started to work as soon as I installed it. So I guess it had to do with the AIO software for whatever reason. But all of our fans are spinning. They are all working for RGB. I will still replace that bottom fan probably because it does have that nick in it, and I don't want that to by accident touch anything and cause any problems. So I will have to get that ordered ASAP, unfortunately. But other than that, everything is working as it should. All of our Windows updates are actually all done. I still have to install Armory Create for anything else, for like the motherboard, RGB and stuff like that. But our AIO is installed, and we also have to do a few other things like install VLC player and install Google Chrome and etc. And then I also have to copy over his new data, which we can actually do that now since all this is installed. And I guess this is a good time to demonstrate how that is done. So in case any of you are looking to transfer from one NVMe to another, example from a Western Digital to a Samsung, it really doesn't matter. It can be Samsung to Samsung, Western Digital to Western Digital. Doesn't really matter, but I just want the data off the Western Digital, transfer it over to the NVMe, or to the Samsung. And this is one way you can do it. This is a cloner. You can use this as extra storage device, or you can use this as a cloner. This is made by Orico or Orco. And you have a source, and then you have a target drive. All you got to do is plug in power. For this to happen, just need this cable or this power plug, put your source in, whatever your date is, put the target in, and push a little start button, and that's going to do it. So we're just going to plug power in there. We're going to plug our Western Digital, which has our data on this one. We're going to plug it right into the source side, push it down, then plug in our target drive, turn that down. We're going to turn the power on, so we have our power now. And then we have a progress LEDs of 25, 50, 75, and 100%. And all we're going to do is push start. It should take off pretty quick, or we might have to hold it down. I actually do forget. Let me hold it down. Let's see if it changes. There we go. You had to hold it down for about 3 seconds there. And now we have 25% is flashing. You can just make that out on the camera. And we're just going to set this down. Normally I wouldn't have it up in the air like that in case one dropped out or, you know, you hit it by accident. So we're just going to let that go and let you know about how long it took. Well, yikes, these got very, very hot, but and so did the unit itself. I mean, it's designed to get warm, but we are at 100% across the board. You can see all the LEDs are lit up. So at this point, it is safe to remove the power. I'm just gonna actually hit the button, the off button, then I'm gonna unplug it. And now I should be able to take the new NVMe that we're gonna be using, and we're gonna install that on the next M.2 slot. I got to take this card back out and install it, but let me just do that quick. All right, let's go ahead and just open up our manila envelope here. Basically, all I'm doing is just going to go to this PC. We only have one drive that it sees. All right, so I took it out and I actually tested it on another computer. It actually works perfectly fine. It's got his games on it. So I'm kind of curious if this slot is disabled somehow or it's just not working. I don't know just yet. So I put it back in. We don't have the graphics card in here. We're just going to use the built-in onboard graphics for the CPU. And I just want to confirm if it's there or not again. So it's not. Well, after a bunch of monkeying around, I think I figured out why that is not working. Is because if we look right here, it says the PCIe configuration mode, and we were on this one. So it did not allow for the M.2_2. So we are going to change it to that. We're going to exit, save the changes, and reset. So we are going from this to that. We're going to leave everything off of it for right now, just to do our test. Matter of fact, I might even just go into the BIOS just to see if it actually recognizes it. And then if it does, then we can boot into Windows, make sure it recognizes it. And then we can install a graphics card and then check to make sure that it is running by 16 or if it's running by 8. Now, it shouldn't affect him that much running by 8 for this graphics card, but let's just see. All right, let's go to easy mode. And nope, we are, oh yes, we are showing it right here. See, storage information? Okay, so that's a good sign. So now all we're gonna do is F10. We are going to load right into Windows. Matter of fact, I'm going to shut it down because I'm pretty confident it's going to work. And I'm just going to kill the power here. Install this quickly. I'm not even going to put the screws in it. We're going to turn this right back on. All right, so let's take a gander and we should see, hey, look at that, 2 drives now. All right, so now I have a program here. We're gonna install this. This is gonna be either CPU-Z or the GPU-Z. So we're looking right here. See this bus interface? So we got by 16 4.0. This is a by 8. So by us running, I think those have cut it down to a by 8. Now we could switch these around so he does have the full by 16. Okay, well, unfortunately, regardless of either the M.2-1 or the M.2-2, if any one of those are occupied, it is going to turn this into a by 8. So we're just going to leave it as is. I got to pull this back off. I got to do the cable management, and then we're going to be all set. So unfortunately, I got to wait for one more fan, so I'll probably just hold off on this because it's towards the end of the day anyway for me, and this has already been a couple, 2-3 hours already working on this and troubleshooting it and whatnot. So we're done for right now, but I will get right back to this and we'll get the new fan installed. I'll get it cable managed, and then you'll kind of see the end results. So just stick around a few more seconds. All right, I got my new fan in. The old one is right here. We have a new one installed. And we're just gonna check out this last fan here just to make sure that everything's working as far as it's spinning and lighting up. As long as it does that, then I can start kind of undoing what I've already done and do the cable management and get this thing up and running for him tonight. So let's go ahead and power this thing up. So far it spins, and there we go. Now we have all of our LEDs, or our RGB is working on all the fans. All the fans are spinning. I know this one's not spinning right now. That one acts a little weird, so it actually takes a moment. It spins up quick, shuts down, and then it gets going again once the software kicks in. All right, we're all set to get this cable management done, and I will show you the end results here shortly. Well, it's going to be like a second or two for you, but actually a split second. All right, well, if I've done everything correctly, we do have it all cable managed back here. Not the prettiest, but it is what it is. Now, hopefully, since I took everything back apart, except for the motherboard supply, power, and the EPS, everything else came apart because I had to switch these combs around to the other side because this graphics card is different. Anyway, let's see if it powers on for the last time before we wrap this up. There is one little final touch before we wrap this video up, is just installing this. Actually, there is, I don't know if there's, yeah, there is a little bit of dust on it. I'll try to get this off first. Okay, now with that dust off, let's get this thing installed. It's just magnetic. And put this plate back on here. And that's the way it's gonna look. I'm sure he's gonna like it. Well, he picked it out. He already knew he was getting it. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for me. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully, I covered all my bases on this for you in this video. I was thinking about putting some RGB strips in here. I do have some, but it does take a lot of work. They're magnetic. They would stick out a little further on this, but I think the aesthetics on this are really, really nice as is, and we're just gonna leave it go. So anyway, that's gonna wrap it up for me. Hit that like button just to help out that algorithm as much as possible. Please subscribe if you have not subscribed, and hit that bell icon to get notified for any future content that I do post. And I guess that's it. Comment down below if you want. And until next time, take care.